Well, welcome to this new series, which takes the form of Bible studies, looking at some of the principal stories within the Holy Scriptures. It's a follow-up really to my blog where I did an overview of the Bible, and in these studies we'll be able to go into a little more depth really in some of these classic stories. When I was a child, I used to sing a hymn, and it went like this: God has given us a book full of stories. It was made for his people of old. It begins with the tale of a garden and ends with a city of gold. Stories are really important. They are the bearers of what I would call archetypal themes. A good story has these themes in it that touch the very essence of what we are as human beings and what it means to try and struggle with what it is to be human in our world today. Things like the battle between good and evil, the death and resurrection of a hero, and so on. They connect us with our deepest hopes and fears. Stories, in other words, help us to make sense of our experience. And they've done so for millennia. In fact, it's the most fundamental way in which human beings have sought to engage with the reality of the world they find themselves in and of what they are as human beings. Now, stories are quite strange things. I think some people think that, when cavemen had a bit of spare time and sit around the campfire and make up stories, but that's not how it works. Stories spontaneously arise from the human unconscious and then find some sort of cultural expression. They're a bit like dreams, if you like. We don't make up our dreams, they kind of burst out of the unconscious. And stories did that in far off days. And then, of course, they were written down. And the Bible is full of such stories. It's a rich source of stories about human beings, about the world, about God, and how it all interacts. And we're going to start with the story of creation. When thinking about creation stories in the Old Testament, it seemed appropriate to come out here on a lovely day and sit next to Wannamill Lake, which is where I live at the moment, because I'm surrounded by the beauties of the natural world. Creation stories from the Near and Middle East have a common theme, what I described as an archetypal theme, and the theme is this: overcoming chaos. Now, these stories are very varied in their material, but that's what's at the heart of them. They come in all sorts of forms: a god slaying a dragon, things like that. In the Bible story, in the Hebrew culture, which we of course as Christians have taken on board, God is confronted by the void, and God speaks to the void, and out of the void he brings creation as we know it today. And that's what the Bible says right at the very beginning. It's the first story that we come across, and the first story that we're going to consider in our Bible study series. So, but what is the void? Well, I like to think about it as being like a cosmic soup. It's a place full of opportunities and all sorts of creative material, but it's all kind of swimming around and boiling, and it has no coordination to it. And God addresses this by his word. And as he addresses it, out from this void, this creative place, but a place that is chaotic, then creation is called forth. And so creation can be seen as the actualization of all that potential. Now, what does that mean for us? Well, we're part of God's creation, and we can be pretty chaotic at times. Loads of drives within us, all sorts of things affecting us, and our lives can be chaotic. But when we speak a word that's rational and that brings about differentiation, then creation takes on a meaningful form. And so we, being made in the image of God, we speak to this chaos, and it becomes something beautiful and useful. The danger is, of course, that we can get too rigid, and we lose contact then with the ancient basic roots of creation, the soup itself, if you like. And when that happens, we tend to get dragged back into chaos so as we can rethink our lives. So we really need two things. We need chaos as the basis of everything, and order in order to make it work, because without order the world cannot work at all. The sun came up this morning and it's blazing wonderfully over the lake, fish are swimming around and so on, and I can get up in the morning knowing that that's going to happen, and that gives order to creation. And so we need both chaos and order, but not too much of either.